My name is Rory. I'm the president of Beaches Watch. Welcome to our May meeting, our Mayflower month, as we like to think of the Mayflowers. So we are happy that you're here tonight. We are excited to have our Jacksonville City Representative Rory Diamond here with us to give us updates and just give us some conversation about what's been going on downtown and how that's translated over to Ditch. Our meeting is being videotaped. It will be on our YouTube channel probably tomorrow or Saturday at the latest. And so you can watch it anytime. You can also share the link with your friends and neighbors who are not able to make the meeting tonight. So our YouTube channel is Beaches Watch 2012, and we'll also have a link on our website. We are a membership organization, so our membership runs from January through December. It's $15 for individual, $20 for family, and we have a $5 student membership. So you can join us tonight, or you can renew your membership. Our ladies at the table when you came in are happy to take your money and your application, or you can go online at ourbeacheswatch.com. We have a few elected officials in our audience tonight we'd like to recognize. We have Dan Jansen, who's Vice Mayor of Jacksonville Beach. We have Bill Horn, Jacksonville Beach City Council. And we have Greg Sutton, City of Jacksonville Beach. And we have Corey Byland, just walked in, Mayor of Neptune Beach. Okay, do we have any other elected officials that did not happen to sign in? Okay. This is normally where we have announcements. The cities seem to be kind of in a little quiet mode coming up, so we don't really have any special meetings or any meetings coming up. So what we'll do tonight is we will go ahead and recognize our 2026 Flan Sharp Memorial Scholarship recipient, Natasha Searle. So Natasha was we received many applications, a number of applications this year for our scholarship, which we were very happy to receive. And they were all young ladies too. So that was even more of a pleasant surprise. So Natasha is the daughter of a single parent. Her mother's sitting next to her, who is also a school teacher. And she is a sibling with 7 brothers and 7 sisters and a paternal twin who is here with her. Natasha has applied and been accepted to UF. So for our UF fans, go Gators. She plans to major in biology and wants to become a trauma surgeon. So good luck. Natasha served as co-president of the organization Future Health Professionals Chapter. She was also president of the American Red Cross Club and founder and president of her school's medical society. One of her most meaningful initiatives was creating a program that trained and certified students in adult and pediatric CPR, AED, and first aid at significantly reduced cost. So through this program, she was able to certify 20 students, expanding access to life-saving skills within our community. So, thank you, Natasha. Also, as a coordinator in the Interact Club, she helped raise over $20,000 to sponsor and train a service dog for a veteran through Canines for Warriors. Obviously, Natasha is a very bright and promising young lady whom we look forward to see what she accomplishes in her next chapters of life. I present Natasha Searle. presenting Natasha at the Senior Awards Night at Fletcher High School later this month.
Say we put the twins in.
Thank you, Natasha. Before we get to our guest of honor, we would, let me go ahead and tell you about our upcoming meeting, which is June 3rd. It will be a legislative recap. So our guest speakers will be Mike Stefopoulos, Jacksonville Beach City Manager, Ricky Pike, our Neptune Beach City Manager. So they will actually tell you what happened and what didn't happen during the legislative session. So put that on your calendar, June 3rd, 7 p.m. here at the library. So just by a show of hands, how did you hear about a meeting tonight? I do understand Beaches Leader has officially shut down, but I don't know, did you guys, I don't know if they shut down before our press release went out. But our Facebook, did you get see Facebook? Our newsletter. The Jacksonville Today email, the daily email that comes out, down at the bottom, they'll give you all the upcoming meetings. Our Beaches Watch website, and just word of mouth, friend, neighbor. Nice, okay. So, without further ado, it gives me great honor to introduce Rory Diamond, our Jacksonville City Council representative, and also my classmate, LJ classmate, 2014, best class ever.
Can you hear me? Is that good enough? Got it? All right, well, first of all, thank you, Miss Maria, for the introduction. Thank you for Beaches Watch for having me. This is democracy in action, right? One of the things that drives me crazy about Jacksonville is we are this huge city, just dramatically enormous, but there's not that many cohesive neighborhoods. It's just a fact. They exist, right? But they're in pockets. Unless you ask people about the Beaches. The Beaches is a solid neighborhood where we actually know each other. You know how many people, since I've been the District 13 City Council person, have knocked on my door because they have a problem with the city of Jacksonville? I can tell you, because I've kept track. 54. 7 years, 54 people who just knock on my door and say, I have a problem, can you help it? The great thing, 53 things were Neptune Beach, Atlanta Beach, or Jax Beach problems, and only one was actually City of Jacksonville, so I only had to do one thing. I just shoveled something to Chris Hoffman or to Mayor Brown or Mayor Byland or Curtis or whoever the Atlanta Beach mayor is at the time, Mayor Glasser. I just get to shovel stuff to them. And so that really is the key of being the District 13 City Council person, which is I have the only district that has 17 other elected people who are actually doing the work. And so I'm air traffic control 90% of the time. 10% of the time is actually not for the beaches. It's for over the district. So I think we've got that map, the new map. It's up there. There's the map. And so this is all of us beaches people. And then there's my work right over there across the ditch. And so most of the stuff that we have to do in District 13 is really focused on Intercoastal West. That is probably 50% of the calls and issues that we get, which makes sense because I'm their city council person. They have no one else between them and state government other than me and anybody who's at large or the mayor. So the big stuff that we do across the ditch is dredges, trash. During COVID, they had massive issues with getting services to their community. So we spent a lot of time across the ditch. The amount of stuff from the beach is actually very little. It's coordinated with my friends in city government, and I am blessed. Literally every single one of our 17 elected officials at the beaches have been awesome. We have incredible city managers. I see a couple of them here today, right back there. They do a great job, and we have the best police chiefs, I think, in the entire state of Florida. So we've got 3 incredible police chiefs, and everybody responds to everybody. I can text anybody at the beaches and get an answer and connect people. That's what makes District 13 and the beaches different. If you're here, you already know that. But I want to let you know, in 7 years of representing you, that has been the best part, is that it's just such a tight community. It's easy to get stuff done. Okay, I promise we'll get into everything that I've been doing lately on your map. You tell me where to go.
Right, that's perfect.
Does that work?
Great.
I promise you, I'll answer any question anybody has. I have a reputation for being very direct, but it also means that I'll take any questions. So if you got tough questions, let's ask them. But let me tell you what I've been up to on your behalf. First of all, I'm 7 years in. I think this is probably my last Beaches watch as your District 13 City Council person. Because a year from now, we're going to be in the thick of city elections. I'm sure you all will be doing your forms and all the rest. So this is the last time you have to see this face and hear me drone on. So congratulations, it's a win for everybody. But it'll be really nice to see the next generation take over the Jacksonville City Council. But just so it's clear, I was a Neptune Beach City Council person since 2016. And we had a rule when I was on the Neptune Beach City Council that we would respond within 24 hours to any citizen who would ask for something. And in my 2.5, 3 years on that council, I personally hit the mark. We did it every single time. As your Jacksonville City Council person, I wanted to do the same thing. I'll tell you, it's an impossibility because of spam email. Like, you just can't respond to everybody. But if you're from the beaches, and you reached out, we responded to every single person who ever reached out over an issue over the last 7 years within 24 hours. We got some sort of response from us. I'm taking zero credit for that. I just want to publicly thank my ECA, Mackenzie Connor, who's been with me for 7 years. She's going to finish it out. She's on her second pregnancy, first baby, very healthy, just to be clear. Second baby is on the way, and she's just fighting for the beaches the whole time. So we're really blessed to have her. All right, let's roll through. So, as I said, my number one issue going into being the Jacksonville City Council person from the beaches was that I thought I was going to do a lot for you about what happens in your life as far as your streets and potholes and stuff like that. Turns out, no. The biggest stuff that I encountered as your city council person was really about good government. And when it comes to the city of Jacksonville, corruption, conflicts of interest, investigations. I got elected in 2019. And the JEA nightmare in 2019 started in like September. And so I'd been in office 2 months. Within 4 months, I was demanding reports. Within 5 months, I had a press conference with Aaron Zahn and all the other executives of JEA demanding their termination. Within 6 months of being in office, I was chairing the first major investigation of the city of Jacksonville run by the city council. We had 3 million documents, 60 different interviews, which ultimately led to the termination of everybody, rewriting of the code when it comes to JEA, stopping the sale of JEA, and then turned our report over to the federal government. 2 indictments went out. 1 was found not guilty, and then of course Aaron's on. As we stand here today, he's in jail. And so that was our first 6-7 months in office. Then we had some tension with the school board, which was, I think, healthy tension. And then immediately on the heels of that, we had COVID as a city council, trying to decide on a street level, how do we protect our citizens at the same time, respect their freedom. So I will say I did not get what I was expecting, but it's been awesome. My number one job, it turns out, is to focus on good government. So I have passed more what I would call good government legislation than anyone in the history of consolidated Jacksonville. I'll just give you a couple of them. One is we have city auditors. Anybody heard of the Jacksonville City Council auditors? They are the saints of Jacksonville government. They are, dollar for dollar, the best investment we make. As I sit on the city council, if we ever have a question about where the money is going, or what a bill means, or what's going on, we ask the auditors. Everybody trusts them because they are amazing. And from the get-go, the rest of the government was ignoring the city auditors. So if you wanted to get away from something, city auditors were asking questions, you could just give them the eyes and ignore them. So I passed a law that says you have to respond to the city auditors within 48 hours, or you'll be in violation of Jacksonville code. And so they get answers now. In addition, let's see what else we have up here. Big problem with the city of Jacksonville government was that people were getting lots of money for their nonprofits. I ran a nonprofit for a long time. We never once took a dime of Jacksonville money because I did not feel that someone should sit on city council and get money from a nonprofit that pays them from the city of Jacksonville. Not everyone shares that with me. So what I did is I made it a law that says you have to at least be transparent about it. And it can't affect your salary. And you can't get money to your family members. And if there's a contract that goes out from the city of Jacksonville to a nonprofit, it has to be competitively bid. So we got that passed. I tried to get a stop on automatic, what do you call them, raises for city council members. In the middle of COVID, I found out I got a raise that I didn't ask for and didn't know about. We just did it as a part of code. No one voted on it. So now we passed a bill that says you have to publicly acknowledge that you're accepting a raise from the city of Jacksonville. And every year you'll see this comes out in the summer in the paper. It says, these are the city council people who accepted a raise. These are the ones who said no. I've never taken a raise, so I still get paid what I got paid when I got elected in 2019. Another big thing we were trying to do is stop conflicts of interest from lobbying. It's the oldest thing in the book. You sit on a board for 5 years and make friends with all these people, and then you roll off that board and you start lobbying your friends who are still on that board. So we made that illegal in the city of Jacksonville. You have to at least take a 2-year break if you're sitting on a board. We literally had the chair of JEA making a deal with law firms so that if they sold JEA, he could go and work for them to get a success fee for helping them get that across the finish line. So that law was really important. Keep going. We had contracts with no limit in the city of Jacksonville. I'm not kidding. It was legal to just say, yeah, we're going to sign this contract, but it can have no cap. And so that really bit us in the rear end with Plant Vogtle. People familiar with Plant Vogtle? We own electricity from a nuclear power plant in Georgia, and we signed the agreement, and there was no limit to what our contribution would be. It might turn out to be a great deal for us in the long term because of clean energy rules and all sorts of other stuff, but we're literally on the hook for billions of dollars, and nobody really knew what the number was. So you can't do that. That's illegal now. I think that's enough on good government bills. Those are my favorite. I've got a couple of more ready to go. Before I leave office, I'm going to file 5 or 6 more that are real stinkers, like the lobbyists. Sorry, Jim. Sorry, Steve. You guys are going to hate my next 5 bills. The lobbyists are going to hate what I've got next, but I'm a big fan of this. Here's some other stuff that we've been doing. Most recently, we did the Safe Haven baby boxes. Anybody hear about this? Yeah. I'm excited about this one, mostly because it brought everyone together. Not everything I do brings everyone together. And it was nice to have one that was really unifying for everybody. So if you're unfamiliar, if the state of Florida passed a law, most states did this around 2009, passed a law that says, look, if you're a brand new mother, between the moment you give birth to a baby up to 30 days, you could surrender your baby, no questions asked, to a hospital or a fire department. And that's true in almost every state in America. There's quirks about the law, but that's generally what happened. There's this wave of baby surrender laws were passed. And then we learned something, which was there's a stigma attached to surrendering your baby. And that some mothers did not want anyone to see them do it. And some mothers weren't sure that their baby would be in good hands if they surrendered it, even if they handed it to a person. And so this thing called a baby box exists now. Actually, it looks like an oven. I think there's a picture maybe on one of these. If we keep going, there it is. Kind of looks like an oven. You literally open it, place the baby inside, under 30 days, and immediately it's climate controlled, it's monitored, and JFRD will quickly come out there and rescue this baby and get its services right away. And then hopefully this baby will then get a loving family. In Jacksonville, we have a very high success rate of getting brand new babies, wonderful families. And so our goal is to make sure that no baby ends up in the proverbial dumpster, ends up in a bad situation. It's happened, and it continues to happen. It literally just happened in Flagler County, where a baby was lost because it wasn't surrendered properly. So we now have this. Not only do we have it, but we are the best county in the state of Florida because we have 14 of them. I work with Pastor Golden's, Bishop Golden's son at JFRD, and they found each of the district council people went and picked the perfect JFRD station in their district to have a baby home. So ours is in Jacks Beach, right on 3rd Street. You guys know that fire station? So please familiarize yourself with it, because this is as much about making this available as it is getting the public word out that it exists. Because I don't think enough mothers, for whatever reason, who just surrendered a baby, know that this is a legal and safe option to ensure that their newborn is safe. And so our goal is to save beautiful newborn babies. So I'm excited about this one. Can we go back, Ms. Marie? Some other stuff that we did, I went on deployment in 2022, came back in 23, came back in 24, and then we passed the HEROES Act here in Jacksonville. I was out in literally in the Saudi desert in a tent, and I was listening to these young enlisted guys and ladies talk to their families. It's a big deal. You get to FaceTime now that the internet's so much better. They talk to their families, and you'd think that the conversations would be about how's school, how the kid's doing. It was always about money. It was always how can we make ends meet? And I told a group of guys that I was chatting with, I said, look, I'm going to go home, I'm going to do something about this. And they're like, sure thing, politician. I don't believe you. And they all gave me the same face. And I was like, all right, now I really have to prove these guys wrong. So we came back, we filed this bill, and what it does is it says if you are a City of Jacksonville employee, if you're a JSO, JFRD, any of these COJ entities, that if you get deployed, instead of getting 30 days of pay, you get 90 days. So you get paid, you get to double dip for a little while to help your family make this transition. And then we did something that no city in America has done, which is we said, hey, if your spouse is deployed and you have kids who are under 18 or a dependent parent, that you get 8 hours a month of flex time just to work with your family and to help them out. Because you imagine your mom or dad, your spouse is gone to the Middle East or whatever, all of a sudden you have 100% of the responsibility that you were sharing. So we gave them 8 hours of paid time just to get to the doctor's appointments, pick their kids up, do whatever it is. This has now been picked up by 14 cities since I've last checked, and it was last year. So it's become popular, I'm excited about it. Just a couple of other things we did. Of course, I did a service animal bill. We rewrote Jacksonville's service dog, service animal bill, which has now become standard for the state of Florida. It was adopted by the state in a lot of places. And Miss Natasha, I love it. Helping, I mean, if you don't know what a great partnership Canines for Warriors has with Interact and Fletcher, like you're not seeing the best in the beaches. So we can go back to 2014 when the first dog was sponsored by Fletcher. Remember this? It was amazing. I think the dog was actually called Fletcher, the first one. And I was there actually for the whole thing. And Sherry Duvall, who founded Canines for Warriors, when she handed the reins over the organization to me, she gave me like 10 things that I had to do. Then she gave me like another 10, like 6 months later. In the original 10 was, number one, take care of Fletcher. Never change the price for adopting a dog for them. So I hope it's still 10 grand. Is it still 10 grand?
Yes.
Okay, good. It's like 30 grand for everybody else. And to keep loving on those kids, because that was one of the coolest things. So thank you for what you do. Give her a round of applause. Come on. We did a Buy America bill, which says that we're going to procure here in the city of Jacksonville, which you get a preference to suppliers from America. We did a bill that said you have to say why a bill is an emergency. Now this might seem crazy to you, but it used to be you could file a bill in Jacksonville, and the typical time from the moment you file it to the moment City Council votes on it is 6 weeks. And during that 6 weeks, there's 2 public hearings where you get 3 minutes to talk about it and you get to read it. And then there's a committee hearing. And then at the very end of that, there's a Jacksonville City Council meeting that's on TV that you get to hear about what happened with that bill. You can, if you want, file an emergency. In which case you get to skip all that stuff and go all the way to the end and just have a last-minute meeting, Jacksonville City Council. And you didn't have to say why. So we said, at the very least, if you're going to cut all the public out of this process, or significantly cut it out, you should say why. The number of emergency bills dropped by 40%. So that was a good thing. The last one I'll just mention here is creation of the Fire Watch. If you haven't joined the Fire Watch, I recommend that you do. This is Northeast Florida's fight against veteran suicide. And it's literally just about educating people about how to talk to veterans who might be in crisis, how to build stronger networks. And it's working. Jacksonville has one of the lowest veteran suicide rates of any city this side in America. Amazing, especially considering we have such a huge veteran population here. So it's actually working. So something that's working in the world is the Fire Watch. Okay, let's keep rolling because I want to...
What was the mayor's transfer thing? You skipped it.
Oh, it hasn't passed. So
Okay.
I'm not that excited about it. If I get it passed, I will, but I'll tell you what it is. Yeah. So it's right now, the mayor has a lot of power to move things around in the budget, but if it's more than $500,000, she has to get our permission. And I wanted to lower that to $100,000, so we had more oversight about money being moved around. Okay, you guys like that. Here's why it was relevant to the beaches. Our projects, and this has happened to me with 2 mayors, one Republican, one Democrat. I'm not always the most popular with the mayor because whoever the mayor is, I'm kind of tough on the administration, holding them accountable, whether it's Republican or Democrat. And they'll hold your stuff up. And they'll make it so that your stuff doesn't get funded, that your roads don't get paid as a way of retribution. So this was a way to make sure that the money just couldn't be shifted away to somebody else. And that was the focus on that one. What else do we got? All right, money. Money is the #1 job of a district council person to bring it back. The city of Jacksonville is a bad deal for you if you live at the beaches. Bad news. We are a pipeline of cash that comes from the beaches and goes to downtown, and very little bit comes back. So I call it a huge hose goes out and a tiny little garden hose comes back. My job is to make the garden hose as big as possible. During COVID, we actually got more for our district than any other district did of COVID dollars, and that was because my assistant and I were really smart in finding it, filling it out, forcing the nonprofits to be like, hey, the money's here, like, let's get it. So we did all sorts of cool stuff with COVID money. But the most recent ones
Rory,
yeah.
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but since you're starting about money and
Yeah.
how money's being spent,
Yeah.
allocated at the beaches, it might be educational for our audience if you could give maybe a 101 about how the money is allocated from top down,
Yeah,
and
I
then how priorities as far as how that money is spent among your within your district,
Yeah.
how those priorities are.
Yeah, I won't go too far down this road because I could literally do a
I don't want to go in the rabbit hole.
Yeah,
Just
I
a
can-
30,000 foot.
Yeah, I sit on the finance committee, so I give you a 3-hour lecture on the city of Jacksonville budget, which I've never voted for one, but maybe one day I will. I got one more shot. But here's basically how it goes. You pay your property taxes. You pay sales tax and a bunch of other taxes that make their way to the city of Jacksonville. But the big slug of money that we've got is from your homes and commercial properties, people paying property taxes. All that money goes to downtown Jacksonville. And a huge chunk of it goes to the schools, and the schools just do their thing. And then a big chunk of it comes to the city of Jacksonville. And the city of Jacksonville then has a $2 billion budget and spends it around the city. Some of the money that you all pay on your property taxes goes through the city of Jacksonville and then doesn't get touched and then goes directly to Mayor Byland, wherever she is over there, and goes to the city of Jacksonville Beach, goes to the city of Atlantic Beach, and they get to spend that as part of their budget. And it's like 19 cents on the dollar is what you all get back. There's a big fight right now with Atlantic Beach and the city of Jacksonville about whether or not that number is fair. Hint, it's not, but it is what it is. You are double taxed, to be clear. In order to have your local beach governments and your local beach police and other things, you pay taxes twice. I think that's wrong. I think the math is bad. The city of Jacksonville is a bad deal for the beaches, in my opinion. But that's how the money's spent. So then the mayor comes up with a budget, wherever the mayor is. They have the mayor's budget review committee, and they kind of figure out how they want to spend money, and then the mayor introduces the budget, and then the finance committee, which I usually sit on, then like tears apart over like 3 weeks of really long meetings. We go line by line through the budget and vote things up and vote things down, take money out, move it around, and then the finance committee says, okay, here's the budget we like, and we pass it from the committee, and then the Jacksonville City Council takes it up. The Jacksonville City Council passes it, it becomes the budget. And there's two big chunks. It's like the stuff that we use to run the government is one bucket. The other big bucket is called the CIP, the Capital Improvement Plan. So all your roads and schools and all that stuff, not schools, but all roads and buildings and all that stuff is in the CIP. It's a 5-year plan. So I'll talk about Penman Road in a minute. It's been in the CIP plan for 8 years. And it's finally now getting funded. So is that enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there may be some follow-up questions.
Yeah, look, I'll answer anything. I'm not shy. So, recent money, I've got everybody. Mayor Byland said she wants to redo Jarbo Park. I love Jarbo Park. It's like 8 blocks from my house. My niece and nephew are there all the time. So we got $385,000. What are we doing with that?
We are really just finishing the project that was started years ago. We are redoing the turf field. We're going to do a pump track, and we're going to be redoing some of the sidewalks, and we're just going to be finishing up and making it look nice from a project that was started years ago by the prior council.
Love it.
So it's going to be great, and thank you so much for your comment.
No, I love it. It's fun to get wins. I had to bully it through. It was fun. Atlantic Beach Lifeguard Station, that started with Mayor Glasser and then rolled to Mayor Ford, and we got it rebuilt. So that was $700,000. Mayor Hoffman asked me for money for the VLSC, historic lifeguard station at Jack's Beach. We got that, $1 million to get that fixed. If you haven't seen the renovations, it looks great. If you haven't seen the new Atlantic Beach one, it looks great. We're going to have a new one at Neptune Beach, I'm sure, soon enough. I'm putting money aside for that. So all the 3 beach cities got treated pretty well when it comes to that. And then we did some track stuff at Neptune Beach Elementary. There's a bunch of other little ones, but those are the biggest ones as far as here's something that I know that my tax dollars doing something kind of cool. All right, let's keep rolling and then we'll do questions. This is my least favorite. JEA. We're in the middle of another JEA investigation. If you all really want to get into this, I'll answer questions about it. It's one of the most frustrating topics I've ever encountered. In my first couple of weeks, actually before I even took office in 2019, I sat down with the then council president. He said, which of these authorities are you interested in learning about and becoming part of, maybe being like the liaison to? And I said, anything but JEA. I was like, I don't want anything to do with it. utilities, it sounds boring. Immediately I was running an investigation of JEA. I know more about JEA than I ever thought I would. And we're in another investigation of JEA right now. Here are the kind of high points on that. There was an allegation that the current CEO is like a toxic leader. There's an allegation that there's racism in promotions and how employees are treated at JEA. There was an allegation that JEA wasn't charging big customers like the Mayo Clinic and the zoo and FSCJ for capacity fees correctly, and some other allegations. There's an issue with like a lobbying contract and some other stuff. Okay, I'll tell you the first two, I have not seen any evidence of. Maybe there's a toxic work environment there. I've been a CEO, I've had hundreds of employees, probably thousands over the course of my career. Everybody hates their boss at some point. So you never know, is it a real problem or is it just like a disgruntled employee? So we're trying to get at that. So we're doing a survey right now of 240 JEA employees. We'll figure out if there's any truth to it. Second thing on racism, I have no idea if it's happening. If it's happening, we've got a problem, we have to address it. And I actually think that JEA leadership on the board doesn't want that either. So if we stumble across it and we can show it's happening, then we'll get to it. The capacity fee thing is an extremely complicated issue, but it's one that if it's true that we are owed almost $100 million back from customers, like big customers, that we need to get to that and find a settlement that's fair to everybody to get that money back. Because how many of you have JEA? Raise your hand. Right, these are Atlantic Beach folks across the ditch. You've got JEA. You know, I'm in Neptune Beach and Jack's Beach. We all have beaches energy, so this is not a problem for us. But for anybody who has JEA, your rates keep going up. I'm sure you've seen it, and sometimes dramatically so. So if they've wasted $100 million, I want to know, because we need to make sure that rates don't go up unnecessarily. My biggest beef with JEA is rates going up, and I have seen people pay their electric bill with quarters at the lobby of the JEA building back in the day, and after I saw that, I was like, this affects people. This is real. Power bill is real, and so I want JEA to be properly managed. The last thing that we're looking at, this is relatively new, is JEA decided to build a brand new big plant called a combined cycle plant, and they had two choices. One was to buy power from Florida Power and Light for 30 years at a like consistent price. The other idea was to build their own plant. This one was consistent at a very knowable price. This one had risk. They went with the one with risk. And there are issues about this. We can get into it if you want, but I want to know more about why that decision was made and what are the risks to the city of Jacksonville if we did the wrong thing with the combined cycle plan. Is that fair? Anybody want more than that? Good. All right, let's keep going. All right, Duval Doge. I think people think this is like a big like MAGA Trump thing. It really isn't. This is just government oversight. Whether you call it Doge or oversight or whatever else, I think everybody wants good government. They don't want to spend money that we shouldn't spend. So right now, we just did a report on our telehealth contracts showing that we could get a service for free that we're paying $2 million for. If you multiply that over 4 budget cycles, which is probably what would have happened, that's $8 million. To put that in perspective, we're having a huge fight about whether or not to give Winn-Dixie $12 million. I'm voting no, just to be clear. I don't like giving corporations your money, like ever. Whether it's a rev grant or whether it's cash, I will never vote just to give your money away. I just won't do it. It's picking and choosing winners and losers. As soon as Everbank gets money to stay downtown, as soon as Winn-Dixie gets money to stay in Jacksonville, well then you have to give ViStar money, and then you have to give everybody else money to stay in town. I just don't want to do it. So if you want to be in Jacksonville, go. You know, that's just how, that's my do things. So, but Duval Doge, I really liked this experience, and I filed the bill to essentially create a permanent oversight committee. And if you've heard me talk about this up there in Jacksonville, I'm trying to get rid of the name Doge and move along from all that because it shouldn't be political. Saving you money, finding waste, fraud, and abuse is not political. Everybody wins when the bad guys don't get your money. So that's what I'm trying to do with that. We'll see if we can get a permanent committee set up. What else we got? Oh, Pepper Grove. Let me give you an update. Who wants circles? Anybody at circles? Oh man, Dan, you're gonna go. You know what I'm talking about, traffic circles? They're coming. So raise your hand so I don't feel bad. They are coming, I won't lie. I get that people don't like traffic circles because for lots of different reasons, but here's where there's definitely going to be one at Florida. At that huge intersection, there's going to be a big traffic circle. The plans aren't out yet, but I guarantee that's going to be in there. It'll slow down traffic. It will make it run more smoothly, so there'll be less backup. Most importantly, the kids going through there are less likely to get harmed because people do slow down in traffic circles. I get that they're annoying, But one there, I think is mission critical, so that will be coming. Let me get you.
So where will that traffic circle be?
Let me tell you the update, and then I'll tell you like when you can weigh in on what the plan is. So, this is fresh off the presses from the administration today. Plans for Penman Road will be 60% done this summer. That's a key number because once you get to 60%, you can start sharing it and finalizing it. So at that point, they'll go to Jack's Beach, where most of Penman Road is, and go to Neptune Beach and sit down with the leaders over there, the city councils and people, put the plans out for everybody to see. And once we get to the end of that process, there'll be a finalized plan. Final design will be mid-2027 and breaking ground the end of 2027. So that's when the nightmare is going to happen, the end of 2027. Perfect for me, because I'll be out of office. It will be my successor's problem. But at the end of the day, we will have a Penman Road that has nicer sidewalks, deals with flooding better, looks a lot better. Traffic should be much smoother through there. You should have fewer backups, and it should be safer. And it'll be easier for kids to get, kind of up and down Penman Road, which is kind of terrible right now. Sir.
Hogwash. We've been going to meetings for several years.
Yeah.
And this is the same song and dance we've got every time.
Yep.
I've talked to the engineers. I've talked to the engineer over here, he'll tell me they're going to close the swales, which is the ditches.
Yeah.
Go to this guy, oh no, we're not doing that. Okay, you've got medians.
Yep.
Medians is beyond terrible, You're taking the optional turn lane out and put a median in, such as people say San Pablo Road. San Pablo Road is not Penman Road. There are two north-south highways in the beaches, and that's 3rd Street and that's Penman Road. 10,000 cars a day by DOT stats go up and down Penman Road every day, which is going to increase with medians because people to go south are going to have to go north to make a U-turn or go to a roundabout. Okay, and that's what you're talking about, is roundabout.
Yep.
The principal reason for roundabouts, you can't, the items you discussed are conflicting. You can't smooth it and slow it.
So
Okay.
that's wrong.
And-
Let me interrupt you. Just give me a second. That's wrong. I hear you, but it's just wrong. So slow is smooth and smooth is fast. That's just the science is too strong. Everybody gets upset about this, and I don't mean to shut you down. It's just wrong. If you smooth traffic, if you have roundabouts, if you do these things, traffic will move more quickly. You will have less of a stop. If it wasn't true, I wouldn't push this thing. I gotta drive it too. I could get it, but this is a better plan than having stoplight after stoplight after stoplight. You go up Florida when Neptune Beach Elementary is dumping out. All the moms are there to pick up their kids and dads. Are there. You've got this huge backup, and then you've got people trying to get home from work out on Penman. You look at all that all at once, and it's a total mess. And the way to do that is to move people along.
The issue is the traffic lights, which the traffic engineer is lied and said they are on demand. They're not on demand, they're on site. Listen, I did 35 years at the sheriff's office.
Excuse me,
Majority of that
sir.
is traffic.
I'm sorry. We would like to hold off one-on-one dialogue because we have an audience that will also like to ask questions. So if you want to talk to him, after
That kind of
the
defeats the
sidebar.
purpose with everybody else not getting the true facts of this, but I understand.
Well, here's what I promise you.
Well, I'm just saying, if you want to talk to Mr. Diamond one-on-one, that's fine. But we do need to move this along, and we do need to cover the rest of the audience.
Let me say this. If anything else, with being in public office, I like stuff to be transparent and to out in the public. So this next process, when the plans are all coming out, it's going to be open. It's going to be public meetings. And there's
But
gonna
it
be
won't
feedback.
change.
If it doesn't change, I guess it shouldn't change.
Okay.
But let me say this.
My last comment.
Okay.
I know how the city of Jacksonville lies because I worked for them for 35 years.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Look, I think the COJ lies too, so don't get me wrong. But here's just proof positive that we did listen the first time. Like most of the medians are gone. Everybody was like, we hate the medians. I like the medians personally, but everybody hated them, so they're gone. Like, we did listen. We're not like crazy people. This is by far the worst part of being your councilman was being on the road trying to get this thing landed, but it is going to land. And one day when all the construction is done, we'll have a much better road one way or the other. I promise you it'll be better. It may not be exactly what you want, but it'll be better, I promise. All right, well, so that's Penman Road update. Is that my last slide?
That's awesome.
Oh, great, awesome. Back in the day, I used to have like 20 slides to try and filibuster this meeting.
You don't need that.
No, so, but I'm happy to answer questions. Anybody, anything else y'all?
Okay,
cover
so-
on time?
Yeah, so we have about 20 minutes because we do like to end the meeting on time.
Yep.
If you have a question, please raise your hand. Wait until I bring the microphone around. Please do not have a, dissertation before you question. Just be concise so we can make sure we get everyone's questions in and have a conversation.
And by the way, I always like hang out after this meeting, so if you don't get your question answered, happy to answer it.
Thank you. My name is Chris Manson, and thank you, Mr. Diamond, for presenting.
You don't have to stand for me. You can sit. You're all right.
Eat the money. Okay. Sorry. My name is Chris Manson. I'm a resident of Neptune Beach. I want to thank Mr. Diamond for reviewing some of these issues that are important to our community. And I will be brief because I do want to address some of your recent social media posts
Have at it.
calling for race-neutral redistricting maps before city council elections because you feel the current maps are unconstitutional, because they supposedly rely too much on race.
Yep. Yeah, but you want to do these one at a time? Yeah, so, well,
I'm not done.
no, we'll do all of them. Let's roll. I love my social media.
Are you aware that the constituents find these social posts, as well as the implied intentions, is offensive?
I'm sorry if it
And
offends
as
you.
a blatant grab for power as an elected city council member, I'm sure that you know that the current maps are deemed fair, compact, and comply with the law per our county supervisor elections, and were approved by federal courts to replace the old gerrymandered maps in order to ensure fair representation of minority communities.
Are we done? Or
No.
All right, keep going.
One more.
I will slow you down.
I would like to remind you that the current maps are court-approved remedy, which notably the city council agreed to use them until 2030.
Okay, so first of
So
all, we
I am asking you, are you willing
the answer's going to be no.
to abandon any rushed redistricting efforts that target minority representatives?
Okay, so the baked into that is it's targeting minority representatives. That's false. So first of all, we didn't agree to those maps. They were court ordered on us. And I didn't vote for the original map. If you go back and watch the redistricting hearings, I voted no. And I said the reason I voted no is it wanted to protect incumbents too much. And I did feel like an obsession with protecting incumbents. It's not what I wanted to vote for, so I voted no. And then a judge came along because some folks sued and said that we had used racially gerrymandered maps. I actually agreed that we had. I didn't like the maps. I thought the judge was wrong, though, in taking somebody else's racially gerrymandered map and saying, we're going to use this one. In fact, what happened after Judge Howard did her map that was drafted by the NAACP is she piped more black voters into districts than our map. And a black Democrat was ousted from office because of that map. So you had fewer African Americans on the Jacksonville City Council after Judge Howard's map. You know why? Because it's racially gerrymandered. She used race. I'm saying redraw the maps, make them compact, but make them race neutral so it's constitutional. And to say that it's rushed is not true at all. We have a year to do a map. That's more than enough time for everybody to move wherever they want to move, see what district they're going to run for, and I want to do it in a fair and transparent process. I bet you at the end of the day, you will like the representation of the city of Jacksonville better if we didn't have Judge Howard's map. Because I don't think it focused on neighborhoods. I don't think it focused on being fair to people's general combined interest for their neighborhoods. I think it's a terrible map for Jacksonville. So I appreciate that you care about this, but you can't just buy what people say online about the stuff I'm doing. Look to see what the result might be. And you might like it better than what they're saying on social media. But I appreciate the question. I totally do. I was waiting for it.
Okay.
You got to be first.
Thank you.
Mitch.
Roy, just a quick question. Short answer. What took place today about the $1.2 million of credit cards being used by the city, our taxpayers' money?
Yeah, so if you're not familiar, you can be a City of Jacksonville employee. Some of them have credit cards that say City of Jacksonville, not their name, but the City of Jacksonville. And then they can go and abuse them, right? And so money can go missing because an employee will charge on our dime and then not pay it back. What usually happens is somebody charges a bunch of stuff that they shouldn't have, and then they get in trouble and they quit and they run away. We never get the money back. So what I would like to do for the City of Jacksonville in order to obviate that problem is to do what they do with the Army. I'm in the Florida National Guard. If I travel on the Army dime, I have a credit card with my name on it, and I have to pay it no matter what, but then the Army reimburses me, or the state of Florida reimburses me for my costs within 30 days. That way it's on me, and I'd like to see the City of Jacksonville do that. I'll probably introduce that bill, but probably pass, and so we can fix the city credit card problem. What I don't want to do is, let's say that it's like costing the city like $400,000 in lost money, just making up a number. I don't want to come up with a $500,000 fix for a $400,000 problem. So I'm just trying to figure out what would it actually cost to fix it. Thanks for the question, Mitch. Make sure you get it.
Thank you to the Beaches Watch for hosting this event. Thank you to Councilman Diamond for committing to introduce a line item for a watershed study of the sediment buildup problem in Hog Pen Creek. There are at least 3 potential factors contributing to this problem. Number 1 being the city's Sandalwood Canal, which drains 11 square miles between beach and Atlantic, 295 and San Pablo. Number 2, the San Pablo expansion. And number 3, JEA work that was done in 2013 to 2018 and in 2023 to the 7 electrical towers in Hog Pen Creek. To what extent these factors contribute, we don't know, which is why we need a study done so we can determine long-term solutions. The condition of the creek is terrible. At low tide, it's less than half a foot where Hog Pen Creek meets San Pablo and Sandalwood Canal. Yes, I do have 3 questions. On the far west end, but it's 6.5 feet where Hog Pen Creek meets the intercoastal at the east end. I handed out about 40 copies of a deck tonight with photos so you can see for yourself.
Okay,
My neighbor.
let me hold you up. We'll talk about Hog Pen.
No, I have 3 questions. What is the process you take to allocate a portion of your $1 million discretionary budget to the study? 2, have you determined how much of your $1 million budget you will allocate to the study? And 3, what steps will you take to ensure that the Finance Committee approves the line item?
Yeah, okay, so let me unpack this for folks who aren't familiar. So Hog Pen Creek is over on the other side of the ditch. There's a whole 2 communities that line it. And when I was deployed, a bill was introduced under my name, to be clear, to dredge Hog Pen Creek. And in order to do a special taxing district, you need to get like most of the people in the neighborhood to agree. And by most, I mean like 80%, because you're about to start taxing people a lot of money. And so it was represented to the city council while I was gone that they had like 80%, and they didn't. It wasn't even close. It was like 50%. So when I got back, I introduced a bill to dissolve the Hog Pen Creek Special Taxing District because, frankly, people were going to lose their homes. And some people who didn't even live on the water were going to be paying thousands of dollars every year so that people, frankly, millionaires, with huge boats could get their boats in and out. And to me, that was just like, that's not how government should work. And so it left that neighborhood without a lot of good options, because if you can't tax yourself, you basically got a free rider problem. And so what you're asking is whether or not I'll help fund a study to show that the city is responsible for the sediment going into the creek, such that the community can then sue the city or convince the city to pay for the dredge itself.
That's not what I'm saying.
Well, that's what a lot of your neighbors are, but either way. So on this study, I'm going to introduce a line item in the Finance Committee this year to do a line item for it. If it passes, then we'll have the money for a study. If it doesn't pass, we won't. I'm one of 19, so I'm usually pretty good at getting stuff through. In fact, can't think of much that I've lost on finance, but I'll try. I love that you're like super focused on this. The good news is you've seen so many of my colleagues that I think that there's general consensus that this thing needs to get done. It's
I'm happy that you're focused on it too. I'm just wondering how much money.
I'm not using any of the CBA money, so just so you all know, I don't like the CBA. When we passed the $775 million for the stadium, another $150 million of city money is supposed to be spent on what's called a community benefits agreement. I disagree with doing this for a lot of different reasons. Mostly, I think it's going to be a waste of money. But each of the 14 districts got $1 million, like discretionary funds. I've committed mine already, so there will be none of my money from CBA going to Hog Pine Creek, but there will be a line item, so this.
I've been asking you since August of 25 for a meeting. You've never responded to my calls, texts, and you've already committed your $1 million to some other cause.
But we're gonna get the money for the study, so.
Well, how do you know how to scope out that study?
I mean, it's like anything else. I'm gonna find out how much money from the administration they think this will cost, and then we'll go put it in the budget.
Okay,
I
thank
would
you.
like to expand on that
Thank
with
you.
you outside of this.
Thank you.
Look
Next
forward to
question,
it.
please.
Hi, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, on April Carney's Facebook page, dated 4/10/22, you wrote, "We're going to miss you, April. You're one tough cookie."
Yep.
Donovan Bradley
Yep.
will be great and destroy whatever libtard
Yep.
the Dems put up. My question for you.
Just to be clear, you're bringing this stuff to this civic function. I'm happy to answer the question, but you're introducing this politics and I'm going to answer it.
So it's up to you.
What exactly is a libtard?
It is a liberal who doesn't necessarily have the wherewithal to understand just how bad their opinions are.
Do you think it's appropriate for public officials to link someone's political views to intellectual disability?
What else we got?
Do you use the word retard when you talk to people?
Yes.
All right. Look, I love that Beaches Watch has become this like very lefty organization. I still showed up. I'll answer your questions. Happy to do it.
Okay, let's keep the subject matter to the issues, okay? I mean, I understand you can ask about his social postings, all of that stuff, but that is not really the intent of this meeting. This meeting is for him to communicate what he's doing for us as an elected official, not what he does outside of that, but.
It's just fine with me.
Well, you can support another person, that's fine, but the libtard is just not appropriate.
Councilman Diamond, you've been, with your time on council, you've been a strong voice for JEA transparency and accountability. Yet when Council President Carrico texted in 26 that he was replacing a board member because he owed a big favor to a friend and wanted to appoint his boss instead, neither you nor the council strongly opposed it. Why not? How does this square with the ethics and transparency standards you've set up?
I mean, look, I think it was a really stupid text, and I don't like any part of that. And I said that in the diet, so you can go see. The good news is it was pulled. And so if it hadn't been pulled, we would have to have had that conversation. But immediately they pulled the appointment. For those who don't know, the council president gets to make some of the appointments from JEA. Council President Carrico, who's been absolutely excruciated in the press over this. Like, it's not like this is a mystery. Everybody knows about this. Said stuff that was just dumb.
I would just say it erodes confidence in the council when others don't hold others accountable, and it seemed blatantly obvious, but I understand your answer and take it.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, look, you're looking at the one Republican who's not afraid to criticize other Republicans. Like, trust me, I do it all the time.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah, no, fair enough, fair enough.
I've been trying to raise my hand for about 20 minutes.
She really has. And she's got a great shirt.
You'll be next. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
This
Wait.
won't be too bad. Do you think we can evolve to the point one day where fire service is considered a county service that we do not have to pay for?
Yeah, it should be. There's no question. I think that, look, the interlocal agreement that governs the three beach cities, I think was really poorly negotiated in 1968. I think the amendments to it haven't served the beach as well. The fact that we're not looking at fire service as a county function is ridiculous to me. I do think we'll get there. Yeah, absolutely. Let me say one other thing about consolidation in 1968. Just, if you ever find anybody who voted in that election who kept the beaches out of the city of Jacksonville, thank that person. Because if the city of Jacksonville had control over the beaches today, it would look like Daytona. It would just be towers from one end to the other. And instead we have, I think, a much better experience out here. You would have 18 other elected officials having all the power to decide what's in your neighborhood. I also think that the COJ is just a bad deal for us. So I would love to see a universe where we deconsolidate the county, or we simply start our own county and we can control what happens out here in the beaches. And the COJ is a bad deal for us, there's no question.
Okay. I'm actually been in the beaches since 1968 in Jacksonville Beach, Duval County, graduated from Fletcher. I live now just across the county line of St. John's, but we have a massive, massive traffic problem. coming off
You don't
of
enjoy it anyway?
JTB, all the townies, I don't know why they want to come here, but all of them come down, holds up the traffic, and I have proof. I've taken videos, I have also proof of that. I called the Department of Transportation to see if we could get a stoplight there. No, we can't get a stoplight there. No, they have one at San Pablo, they have one at Hodges, but not. Now we just have a two-way stop. That way.
Where?
On Marsh Landing Parkway.
Oh, there, yeah, it's dangerous right there.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's wild.
We've had 3 or 4
Microphone,
accidents in the last year.
microphone.
Yeah. All right, so for folks who aren't familiar, if you're on Marsh Landing Parkway after you get off JTB, there's a stop, and there's literally 2 stop signs that are just a nightmare.
But I have a good solution.
I'm all ears.
Well, I'm
what-
sorry, hold on.
Yeah, you got it.
We're kind of digressing here. So that topic, even though it is important, is not a beach, it's not really anything that.
Well, Marsh Landing is Duval County.
Right, I know, but that's a totally different jurisdiction of what issues and what you're trying to get done here. So we're trying to keep it to.
No,
sorry.
they're right back there. So go after this meeting, go talk to the folks in the city of Jacksonville Beach.
Yeah.
They are the ones who have control over that.
Yeah, they can.
Absolutely.
Bad.
They don't
guide you.
I'll come get you.
Okay.
One of these people will yell.
Last question, and then I do have some questions from the dais that has been sent that I'd like to discuss. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Councilman, I wanted to follow up on what my neighbor was asking you in regards to Hog Pen Creek. Have you driven on San Pablo and looked at the neighborhood and noticed all the buildup?
Yeah.
So it's pretty, I mean, you seem like a very reasonable
Right.
person. That's coming from somewhere. So you see, we do have an issue.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I do think the city is part of the problem. I think DOT was part of the problem, FDOT. Here's my struggle as your councilman, is that there are like 20 of those across the city where these different creeks in the city have been backed up. And there's development happening everywhere, so they're all having this silt issue. And so most of these neighborhoods are dredging on their own. So, Isle of Palms dredge themselves. 3 other communities on the Intracoastal.
Well, that's because they set up taxing districts.
Exactly. So
if set that up,
but
I paid my money for it.
I'll be back.
I don't know what happened. There wasn't really anything that I was aware of sent out explaining. It seems like we had the votes, or you would not have signed to issue the district, correct? So you issued the taxing district, but then, so we all thought, great, we got, because it was a majority, you're saying it was only 50%.
At best.
But if that's the case, then why would you have ever signed off on that?
That's the issue.
That's what I'd like to know.
You jumped on it. That's the issue.
In addition to that, the majority, I don't care if it's 50, maybe I guess there's guidelines, it has to be a certain percent. But I don't think there's a lot of transparency on what the percentages were on that. So, and then it just fell off the map. It just dropped.
Yeah.
And we got our money back. And it was because, not all of it, but we were told.
Everybody's got their money back now. They should have. I had to work with the tax collector, we got it back.
Yeah, but I mean, if you signed it to pull it back, that's almost like you win an election and they say, oh, sorry, or you really didn't win.
Yeah, no. Here's the issue. Look, it's a political question. The council had to decide, and again, I was gone, but the council had to decide whether or not there was like this supermajority of the residents who wanted to tax themselves to dredge, right?
Yeah, and we didn't vote on that. We all submitted on that. There was actual numbers.
I promise I'll give you an answer to this. So it was represented to the council that there was this 80%. There was just this number of people. And then
by who?
The folks who showed up at city council to support the taxing district were showing these names, and they said they had like this super majority. And then when I got home and I started talking to folks, we started to verify, and it just wasn't there. There wasn't 80% support. There was barely 50% support. So then it became a political question for the council. If we made a mistake, that there wasn't this like big support, what do you do? And so I proposed that we just dissolve it and then try to re-rack a new solution for the community. And that was the right answer, in my opinion, to give people their money back. Because there were people who were going to lose their homes so that folks could get their boats in and out. Like, that's not, it just wasn't acceptable in my view. And 18 of my colleagues agree. I agree, it's a terrible situation. Absolutely it is. The solution, though, is going to have to come from the neighbors as much from the city, though. It can't just be fix this problem, let's give us like $6 million for a dredge.
Well, no, fix the problem has to, that needs to be done. That needs to be done, so.
I agree. The question is whose problem is it? Is it the city's problem or is it the neighbor's problem? And I agree, it's very frustrating. It's really
dumping the sediment in there.
And so that's why I told any neighbor, sue the city of Jacksonville. Get the proof that it's the city's fault, sue them so they can get your money. But there's no way I'll get it through city council like $6 million for a dredge. There's no way.
But if you see the sediment coming in,
Okay.
you see it there.
I trust me, I do share your frustration. This is my least favorite issue because there isn't a good answer to that.
All right, thank you. So there are a couple of questions.
More like Facebook or Twitter?
Me either, just for those reasons. There's a question sent to us about some legislation that you introduced, Chapter 656 on the zoning, which is the zoning code.
Yeah.
And the question was, why did you introduce this legislation?
There's two bills I introduced. One is for administrative deviations. If you're unfamiliar, if you've got like an infill, none of this affects the beaches. So Jacksonville, Neptune, Atlantic doesn't affect you. But if you're in the rest of Jacksonville, you've got like a quirky lot somewhere, and you want to build a single family home, and it's not quite wide enough, or you can't quite get enough cars in the driveway, but you still want to build a house, you can get what's called an administrative deviation. And the way it's written now, you have to go file for this thing, you've got to go to planning commission, and appeal to the city council. It's this like 6-month process to get one house built. And if we really care about affordable housing and doing infill, which protects the environment on the north side, the west side, it gives people homes and makes it more affordable, then you've got to be able to figure out what to do with infill lots and not cause like another $10,000 or $15,000 for a $150,000, $160,000 house. So my bill basically says that the staff, the mayor's staff, can just approve an administrative deviation for like, if it's a foot off here, or you can get one more car in the driveway, you can, to try and make that go faster. But if the neighbors still don't like what the staff does, they can appeal it to the planning commission just like they did before. So it's just about moving things along faster. The second bill I filed was essentially it's codified state law that says if after the planning and zoning is already done, so nothing to do with zoning, nothing to do with land use, once you already have the right to build something, and then you go to the city of Jacksonville and say, I need a building permit. And the building permit process has gotten worse and worse and worse since I've been in city government. Now, people are waiting years to get permits done, and it's stupid little stuff that is just making their heads explode, and it's stopping housing. Like literally making it harder and more expensive to buy a new home if you're in Jacksonville. And everyone's like, we don't care if it's more expensive to build a new home in Jacksonville. We don't want these people from out of town to come here and live here anyways. It's rarely people from out of town. It's people trying to move out of their parents' house. It's people who are trying to move from renters in Jacksonville to homeowners, and we want that to happen. We are a safer community when there's homeowners. We are a more stable. The schools are better. Everything is better when people have a stake in their neighborhood by owning their own home. And so I want to give another option in the city of Jacksonville. Instead of trudging your way through the bureaucracy of the city, is just take the money you would give to the city and give it to a private permitter, which is what they do all across the state. And that person has to do their job, and if they fail to do their job, you've got recourse against them. And it'll make it faster to get things, single-family homes built. That's the plan.
Okay. We had mentioned the interlocal agreement several times tonight. Can you talk about the status of that interlocal agreement, negotiations with the city and Atlantic Beach?
Yeah, I'll be really honest, I don't think anything's going to change. I'm not going to get, I really didn't want to get political today. The administration, the mayor's team, they want to spend as much money as they can in downtown Jacksonville. I don't think that they care about rich people in Atlantic Beach getting more of their taxpayer money, so I don't think that's going to go anywhere. I think it's all just, fluff before the election, and then you'll never get a resolution. I think the city of Atlantic Beach should sue the city of Jacksonville and get the interlocal agreement fixed, because I don't think it's fair.
And then the next question was about the Better Jacksonville plan. The funding, when it expires, and half-cent sales tax goes toward the JSO pension, how will the beaches be taken care of?
Yeah, so there's going to be a gap coming up here. So the Better Jacksonville plan was paying, like, for example, the city of Neptune Beach, I think it was like $400,000. And then the city of Jacks Beach and Atlantic Beach. That money is now being extended out by 4 years and rediverted. One, to fix the COJ, police and fire pension, and then the second extension was for to make room for the $775 million for the stadium. So those are the two things that happen with BJ, and there is no plan to make fair to the beaches. Frankly, again, I did vote for the stadium, so I don't think this makes sense, but it is where we are. That's why I said, Jacksonville's not a good deal for the beaches. It just isn't.
All right. Well, we're right at 8:05, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you, Rory. Just a reminder, our June 3rd meeting will be the legislative recap. And for those who are physically able, if you can help us stack our chairs, we can get out of here quicker. Please limit it to 10 chairs per